everybody. Colin Christianson here with Tenacious Ventures. We're at the Northwest Event Show here in Seattle, Washington, and we are talking to some of the people at the booths, some of the speakers from the stage, and also some of the people we find roaming around. But today I have here one of the speakers, Cecilia Lavin, and so she's going to talk about Avicio, and we're going to hear more about some incredible global technology that's being used around events. And so why don't you give us a little bit of a background and tell us more about what Avicio is?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. So Avicio is an event management software for predominantly awards and conferences. That's what we focus on. For me personally, I've been in the events industry for 20 years soon. I'm not going to say how old I am. But I went into event tech 5 years ago because I knew nothing about tech. And I was like, if I can understand tech, I can help event organizers understand tech and make it more simplified and sort of create better experiences, because it can be overwhelming, the tech space, right? There's so much out there. So how do you implement that? So that's what I've been here talking about, is giving some tangible pieces of tech that people can use to create better experiences and more engaging experiences. That's a little bit about me and Avicio.
That's awesome. So I'm sure that you have a bunch of nuggets of wisdom around a lot of the ways that awards could be better. So can you give us some examples of what you've done and what you do around that?
So I think some of our clients do some incredibly cool stuff that just isn't about the award itself. And I think this actually comes back to a lot about what our events should be. It shouldn't be just about, like the same here, the Northwest Event Show. It's about the experience. It's not just about the content. It's not about the exhibits. It's about how we experience. There was a horse downstairs. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty cool, right?
Katie.
Yeah, Katie. Yeah, I met Katie. And, that's like, I'm going to walk away from here thinking like, I'm going to remember that moment, right? So our clients don't only look individually at just their one-off awards. They think about, how can we become a market leader in our space? Yeah. And we help them do that. One of the cool things that one of our clients have done is they've created a league table. So when someone enters the awards and they get awarded different points, depending on what award they win, is it gold, silver, bronze, whatever it is. And it's created basically a league table that showcases the top 20 best companies within that industry. So if someone is looking for a new supplier or a new contact within that industry, they actually go back to this awards website and look at the league table to source a new supplier. So it's become like the go-to, right, within that industry. And the companies who operate within that industry do make sure that they enter the awards every year because they want to be in that league table. Yeah. It's super important to them. So, and it's really cool to see how it dynamically changes. When I joined Avicio, I remember there was one company who was on the top. 3 months later, when I was demoing it to another client, it had changed. And I was like, oh my God, it's changed. Like, it actually works. And they've created a directory so they can even go in and research. If someone has put in an awards entry, they could ask what color have they been used in this, sort of particular entry. And they can then filter and find company that produces stuff in a particular hex color. So we gather that data as part of the awards process, but they've turned it into a longer lasting sort of legacy that, helps them become the market leader, and companies, it's sort of the go-to. And I love things like that. We want to help our clients not only think about that one award. Obviously, our software helps them to become more efficient, but it's not about that. It's about, how are you going to become the go-to?
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And you mentioned earlier that you're kind of a nomad, right? Moving around, kind of going to these cool things. Yeah. So you get to see kind of a spread. So just about you, like, how has that worked? Like, is there a certain nomad loop that you go on, or how does that work?
Absolutely not. It is basically, okay, I need to be in Seattle right now for a work event. Where is close by that I can maybe visit that I haven't been to? So I'm going to Chicago after this. But I'm not going to lie, my life is pretty epic. Like last week I was in Peru. I was doing Machu Picchu this time last week, and here I am in Seattle, in a city that I've never been to, an event I've never been to. Get to meet some new awesome people and share my wisdom and my experiences with the events industry in the Northwest, which is awesome.
That is awesome. So even with that, what kind of innovations are you seeing coming down the pipeline within the industry, the events industry, and what are some of the ways that you see either technology, video, audio, apps, like what do you see there kind of coming down the pipeline, and how are they integrating?
Well, I think obviously there's one key word that we have to mention in the tech space, and that's AI, right? It's been around for ages and people don't know it. It's been around for decades.
It's called machine learning.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're just now finding how we can better use it, right? Which is awesome. I believe personally, though, that sometimes we shouldn't just think about how we innovate tech, but how do we utilize the tech that already exists in better ways?
Yep.
I think that's key. Because there's so much out there, and I think a lot of tech is underutilized, and we can use it much more if we just understand it better.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's key to me. We go through phases, right? VR, Apple has just launched their new, Apple Vision Pro. But you can see people sitting on a subway using it. That's not going to be a long-lasting thing, right? It's an experience.
Yeah.
So you can integrate these things at events, which is awesome, and you should do so if it's for the right purpose.
Yeah.
For example, I think AI has been underutilized in events for a long time when it comes to networking. I would love to go to an event like this one, maybe if its event is a little bit bigger, and put in my interests and my available times that I have and get a personalized agenda.
Yeah.
That's going to help me as an attendee, right? It's going to make my life more efficient doing these events rather than scrolling through endless agendas.
Yeah.
Right? So that tech, that the possibility of doing that already exists. We just now need to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's sort of generally what I get passionate about, is utilizing the tech we already have, but in better ways.
Yeah, and I can envision something like that, because I have had recommendations and some stuff like that events, but it's not to the scale that which you're talking. So if there was a way for us to have our own personal AI, and then it interfaces and then crawls the website and sucks it back to us, that would be amazing to have something like that. And then like you said, the Vision Pro. So I got one of the ones that first came out, and I think it's an incredible little work machine. It's a little too heavy for the front of my face now.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, it's quite heavy.
I can only wear it for about an hour before it gets uncomfortable. But once the weight of that comes down, then it'll be amazing. You could walk around and have the booth light up, and then everything else gets shaded that it assumes that you're not interested in. Yeah. So I could see a lot of the cool innovations and stuff being built for this new technology that's coming out like that.
Absolutely. Well, the VR, when that was huge, right? There's some great ways to use VR as well, like destinations.
Yeah.
If you can't physically go to the destination, why not send a VR headset to the audience you want to showcase your destination to?
Yeah.
They can explore the destination and feel like, oh, you know what? I have to experience this in person, but they get a really good taster.
Yeah.
There's some excellent ways of using some of this, but VR headset, as you said, you would never use it day on end. You would never do a webinar showcased in a VR headset or, a whole day worth of content, because it will become uncomfortable, disorientating, all of that. But there's some great ways of using it.
Yeah, I agree.
I just say, one advice I give is don't use tech for the sake of using tech, right? Just because it's the cool thing out there, don't use it if it's not sort of fit for your purpose, what you want to achieve. And more importantly, will your attendees use it?
Yeah.
Right? If you organize an event and someone says, well, we really do need an event app, as an example, right? If your attendees are not going to download it and integrate with it and use it, you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
It's money down the drain.
I agree.
So it's more about those things that I think is really important.
Well, great. That's been an incredible amount of information. And I love hearing about your nomad story there going around. So if people want to get in touch with you, how do they reach out? Where do they go?
Well, the easiest way, I guess, is LinkedIn. You can find me, Cecilia Lavin. I do post a lot around my travels there as well. But then also, obviously, via our event website, avesio.com, I guess, can reach out to me there.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. Really was entertaining to have you here. So
thank you very much.
Yep.